Okay, we start talking about our fifth episode, and as we initially started with the query that like we are not getting enough job interview calls, what is happening in the market. Now, I would say that people in the group can suggest what they believe is happening. Everyone is open to contribute. But whenever if I am looking at this problem and I'm saying that I'm not getting something or a response, so there could be a multi-dimensional problem. One thing is that I am getting call, but I am not getting called for interview. Yeah, that could be one thing. Second situation could be that I am getting called for interview, but I am not getting selected. Yeah. The third thing could be that I am even put on a hold, but people are not like the organizations are not issuing the joining letter. They are taking time. Yeah, that's something. It is happening on a multiple stages. Now, when we are analyzing it, I need to analyze where my problem is. If I am not getting call itself, yeah, then I need to understand there could be two reasons. Either the type of jobs I am applying or I look for the type of profile I have has no demand. Yeah. So it means that whatever role I am playing, that role has less need. Yeah, that could be a one reason. Or it could be that my profile is not tweaked in a way so that it probably target the jobs which are available. So since I can only work on my profile and I am not visible enough, that's for sure. So just if especially if you are a more experienced person, if someone cross 15 plus, then usual CV oriented job search may not work much. The things like LinkedIn and other social platform also plays a role. But first and foremost thing is I need to fix my CV, but it is not just for making the CV as a nice and formatted, maybe the messaging and the skills which I am publishing and I'm targeting. Yeah. So that is the possible thing I can do. And I need to make sure the LinkedIn is also talking about the same thing. So at least I start getting call. Yeah, because that's a first level issue. And once I get a call, then I focus on conversion of it. But if the call is not coming, my major focus should be on visibility of my profile, visibility of my LinkedIn profile, and maybe tweaking the profile in such a manner so it get picked up for those jobs which are in market. Yeah, that's what I can share. I know it's a high level stuff. Exact actionable insights, I think depends upon person to person. Yeah. Anyone want to add here? The first query, which as we were discussing in our WhatsApp group, is that some of the participants were sharing they are not getting sufficient calls, or some of them were sharing that they are not able to convert the calls. So this is what I can share on top of what we discussed in the group itself. Yeah. Anyone want to add? Please go ahead, or add your question. Also go ahead. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I see nowadays people, the companies, what they are looking is the person with the Scrum background with some technical as well. They are preferring that type of profile much, because I have done some conversation with multiple HRs. So they are more in looking for the technical with responsibility with the Scrum and project management things.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's a nice thank you for sharing. So it means, in a way, if I convert that thing, if I just prepare my CV and my LinkedIn profile, which is purely focusing on Scrum Master role and not having something extra added, project management, technical facilitation, then there is a less probability of me getting picked up for the interview. So as we observe, and we have been talking in our previous conversation also, the multi-skilling is needed. One skill may not be enough in a today's competitive market. And since the demand is less and supply is more, organizations are becoming choosy and they are looking for a multi-purpose person. Yeah. Good. Any question to start with then? Yeah, this was a little discussion we had. And go ahead, please. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. Hello everyone. So I have a question actually. It's regarding project scope. So like let's say for example you're working on a project at the middle of and then you're using the waterfall methodology, right? So the very rigid one. So at the middle of the development, the stakeholder comes in to say they want you to add extra feature. How would you handle that situation in a way that maybe you don't how will I put it? Like you don't like because the team they're already working on the product. Yeah, how would you answer that question in an interview?
Yeah. So I would say interview as well as for project management mindset. Yeah, especially when I teach PMP, then also I remind everyone. So say change can come any point in time, irrespective of life cycle. Not in the middle of the project, it can come on the last day of the anticipated last day of the project also. And there is a possibility someone may ask you to do something which was not there before in the scope of work. Now, how do we handle it? It depends upon what is our arrangement, what is our working agreement here. Yeah. So say, what is my contract? What are our roles and responsibility? Based on that, we will handle it, but we need to respond to it. We can't say we will do it, and we can't say we will not do it. So yes and no is not possible because change could be, say there is a compliance change in the government space and your product is getting infected by that, and even if it's the last day of the project, you cannot release this thing in the market because it will penalize you and your company. So you have to stop and add something to fix it. Now, adding something to fix it, will it happen for free or will it happen as per the money? That depends upon the contractual understanding and the overall change control process. Now, traditionally, these are the words we use. We can say that as a part of our project, because changes are inevitable, whatever life cycle we follow, we do have an identification of the process of changing. Even if the two companies are doing contract, inside the contract also they will have a process of defining how they can change a scope of work, what kind of documentation they need to put, what kind of justification they need to give, and what kind of exchange of money will happen if those events are happening. So as per my understanding with my stakeholder, with my contract, with my customers, I have my change control process, which talks about how to evaluate, analyze, and put impact analysis on it. And based on that, we take care of integrated change control. Yeah, so that is something you theoretically do, and that is something you practically also do because change costs. Yeah, it is a money. At the same time, not changing also cost. So we need to find out which money is more, and accordingly, organization has to take a call.
Okay, thank you. So it really depends on the organization process of accommodating change, and
Yes.
this is so is it defined before the start of the project, or it's something that
So as a
will be
part
done?
of the project management plan, if I just answer the PMP kind of language, so whenever you finalize your project management plan, whenever you finalize anything, requirement, scope, document. So say if I come to you and I ask, what is your requirement for the application? You gave me the requirement and we have identification of it. Then I'm asking a sign off from you. At that same time, I will say, what if you want to change your mind? What process we should follow if we have to change? You want to change, I want to change, or someone else wants to change. What is the process of following it? So I have that conversation as a part of that understanding only. From a perspective of documentation, in general, we call it the change control plan is a part of project management plan. But if you are not using those document, whatever document you prepare, scope document, sign off document, you can say as a part of that document or a contract, we do have a section which talks about how to take care of change for this particular document if it happens in future.
All right, thank you so much.
Great. Yeah. We have questions on the comment. People can vote on it. Yeah. And if you have any other question, please put it there. And here. Yeah. Okay. So this one we can take. Yeah, I think we have a question and I will ask you all also to contribute. In one of my recent interview, I got a question. What is your engagement with resources in a matrix environment? And the person answer was, I engage with them, such as how the engagement of the resources, if they need any support, motivate them, train them, give them a growth. But mostly my focus will be on delivery side and I will follow some matrices and KPIs. But he was very upset with my answer. Yeah, so what should be my answer? So say upset, we cannot take care. We don't know who is the person and what he wants to listen, but we can definitely explore the answers. Yeah. So here we are saying, I'm opening the question and summarizing it again. So the interviewer is asking, how do you work in the matrix organization context? Yeah, how do you take care of your team member when you are working in a matrix structure? We need volunteer to answer it. Anyone wanna take a little push? Go ahead. Yeah, I see two people unmuting. Now I get confused. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Abhishek here.
Yeah.
So, see, when you say matrix organization, see, there are two differences. One is strong and another one is weak matrix organization, if I'm not wrong. So,
Yeah. But when you get a question like this, you can assume it's a balanced matrix. If you talk about theory, then there are three: strong, weak, balanced. But yeah,
okay.
the interview, you can answer it by assuming balanced.
Just a second. I'll come back. I'll come back.
Sure.
Answer that.
Go ahead, Suresh. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, my feeling is matrix in the sense the question is more about uh, two managers. That means two level of people will be there. So in general, I work for the banking industry. So we'll be local somebody who is leading an entire organization, and on the functional side, we'll be on the US side. So we have to balance both sides of it. So the question is more about how do you handle the local as well as the other side of it. So it's not about the delivery aspect as well, but convincing the two levels of management and balancing that part is more crucial, because locally the budgeting and other factors will be different from the functionally what they get from as a PM work directly to the local Indian side. So maybe we need to give answer in such a way that both managers are in sync with the communications as well as the convincing part. That means balancing the delivery parts as well.
Perfect.
So yeah.
Yeah, I liked your answer. Yeah, we can hear one more, but this seems to be very good way, and we can structure it a little more better. But this seems to be a good idea. Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. So anyone wanna speak before I probably try to process this information? Good.
So,
Go
second.
ahead, Abhishek. You wanna say something? Yeah.
So in terms of when he says a resource now, I would assume that it is a front-end resource or a back-end resource or some QA guy who's there working for us. And how are we communicating or how are we keeping him engaged? Is that what the question meant?
Yeah.
How
So
do we
possibly,
work
yes.
with him in
Possibly,
terms
yes.
of communication and
So say in a simplistic word, what I assume is if we face these kind of question, so how as a project manager, I ensure the productivity in the matrix organization? Yeah, that seems to be the question. Now, as Suresh pointed out, the issues related to matrix organization is dual reporting, dual bosses. And these bosses may have like different values and different priorities also. So in a simplest word, many of the IT organizations are organized in a matrix manner. So say you have a developer, they may have their engineering manager. You may have a testers, they may have their testers manager or something like that. You may have a UI people, you may have a UI manager, possibly. And out of it, you are a project manager and you need to work all of them or with whole cross-functional team, and they are part of your team. But at the same time, their boss also wants them to follow some checklist, some guidelines to ensure quality and overall compliance related to that functional area. So that is happening. Now, if we don't understand the boss perspective or a functional manager perspective, then there will be a high conflict. In general, matrix organization is expected to be a high conflict stage. So I think if I have to answer it, I will focus on collaboration more. And I will say that since we are working in a matrix organization, I am be more aware that there could be a misunderstanding and communication gap between me, project priority, and functional priorities. That's a word we can use. So I will make sure we have a clear working agreement with functional heads, respective functional heads. I engage and always involve in decision-making process respectively as per the function heads engagement level. We try to clarify roles and responsibility, maybe by following some working agreement which contains RACI matrix. And I work with the team. I definitely bring all the information which are related to the project need. Yeah, that's part of it. And I support all the delivery related aspects. And I make sure that we don't create confusion for the team members where they are confused between my approach and their functional head approach. If any confusion comes, I closely work with the functional head. That's something we can probably put in. Yeah, again, what interviewer wants to listen depends, but I think that's my judgment. Anyone want to add here? We can go with that. Yeah, in a way, the peace question also takes care of it. How would you manage the conflicting interest with the different stakeholders? So these are two different stakeholders, probably you and your functional head, and there could be a conflicting interest sometime. Yeah, that's a possibility. And when you have this difference of priorities, the the whole idea is we need to focus on collaboration and working agreement. The essence is we have a difference of opinion, we have a conflict of interest, but there is something which is common with us, and that's why we are together. So I need to find out that common part of it. Yeah, how do we work together? And then we take it forward. So I need to have a common platform, common place where both of us can stand. Now, if I am working with the stakeholders who has nothing common, yeah, one is needing A, another needing B, and both of them have their strict interest, then I need to follow working agreement. I says, guys, you may want whatever you, but I can only give you what is possible in my project. We need to have a clear understanding as per our contract, as per our documentation, whatever we have, what is my role, your role, we need to clarify that, and we fit as per the working agreements alone. Yeah. So that is, again, I am connecting this. This can be a case when you are working with the matrix organization also, and these two stakeholders could be your functional heads. Yeah. Go ahead, Ashmita.
Saket, my question, I don't know if you got it. Actually, I
asked the question, what is the restructuring? You have a 2 employee and you want to let one go. Is that you are asking?
Yes. And the difference between two candidates are, one is very dedicated and he does his work perfectly and he's very good at his work. But the only problem with him is he will be working only 8 to 5. He will not extend his shift. Whereas the second person will go ahead and can go that extra mile, but he is quite, means he's an average performer and he needs support in whatever he is doing.
I think in order to answer that, we need to understand the company culture, because we don't know which one they will like. Yeah, and probably they also want to understand your mindset and see if that mindset is matching with the company culture. I don't think whatever we discuss will help you in finding the right answer to this question.
I think just give me a blunt answer on what should be like. What
I'm saying is
right or wrong in this. I understand this.
No. So let me try to explain. What I'm saying is that if we get this question again in the another organization, the another organization may expect another answer from you. They may not expect the same answer from you. Yeah, that's because it depends upon what is their company priority. So some companies which are very professional, they focus on doing the right thing within timeline and getting away from there. They don't focus on people putting their time, and they don't expect flexibility. They expect professionalism. So if the organization, the culture you see in this company is a professional culture, then you probably answer that I will keep the professional guy and I am not compromising on quality and competency because someone is flexible. Yeah, that's the reason. So whenever you see this organization culture, then you use this particular justification. You have to tell, yeah, that I believe the professional is important. People don't have to do as per their commitment only. They don't have to always show flexibility, but we need to really work with the people who can deliver. Yeah, that could be a thing. In another organization where you have a culture where people are expected to stretch, they are expected to be flexible, and they are expected to be more listening to the management, those organizations will not like the first guy. They will like the second guy. They will say, even if you are a little bit slow, but doesn't matter, you will put more time and you are flexible, so I will stay with you.
Okay, got it. Now, to connecting this question, I was asked that what if you choose the first guy and there is some extra work that has come, and because that guy is not flexible, but you need some extra effort from him.
Yeah, so that's why the company culture is coming in. So they want you to select the second guy.
No, he asked me, how will you convince this guy to work?
So these kind of things depends. Whatever I will answer you will not necessarily work there. Yeah. So it depends upon how the previous conversation was happening. So what you understand about the organization culture, what you understand about priority. For example, one culture, people will say that, people are getting difficult to stay in this company. We have just fired a one guy. You better show some flexibility, else you are next. And it may work in some organization. Yeah. But in a general case, remove this first person, second person, or anyone. In a general case, whenever we want people to contribute and do something beyond their working agreement, we need to show what is the value of that work, what is the priority, what is at stake. And we need to engage them in decision making. I don't say anyone that you have to stay till 9 o'clock because this problem is happening. I need to make sure the person says, I will stay till 9 o'clock because this problem is happening. Yeah. So that's a generic thing, not just in this particular situation only, that can guide you in answering any of such queries. But your focus should be, if I am involved in decision making, I will stick to my decision. If I care my customer is in a problem, I will stick to it. If someone else tells me stay till 9 o'clock, even if I stay, I will be not motivated. And tomorrow I may not show up in the office. I will take a sick leave and I may switch off my phone. Yeah. So we need to be that way, a generic guideline, but exactly what they want to answer here, we don't know. Yeah. Okay. So anyone wanna add here? Anyone? This situation, this tricky one, open for conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead. Go
Saket,
ahead.
I want to add something.
Please. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of the guy is taking ownership or not. If he's not able to take the ownership of his work, then probably the second guy would be the better option. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And my role is always creating the ownership, whoever comes to me. Yeah. That's also a case.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Vinay. Yeah.
I would say that rather than taking decision by ourselves, I would make the team take the decision on it. We will, as for all decision, we impose that we are not kind of leading. We are not going to impose the decision. It's the team who
It
will
is
decide.
not in that. It is not that case. You get a mail from HR and HR asks you, you have to choose and you have to give names. So, and you cannot disclose it to the team, right? It is a
No, I
management.
think Vinay was referring to the second point, that you have to make people stay long.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thanks, Vinay.
And that's a good idea. That's a good idea. So if you take that approach, and again, this is the whole idea of these kind of stretch and all those decisions. If you can engage people, if you can create ownership and make them clear what is needed and why it is needed, and they decide how they want to solve it, they are
Yes.
part of the decision-making process. In general, it's a good idea. In general, it's a good idea. You don't have to go for this answer or that answer. It's not necessary for this particular case only. Yeah.
Okay, my answer to this question was actually that I will have a one-to-one with the person, and I will try to I will give him the importance of the work that he's doing and what importance it will add to the company and to the organization, and kind of recognition he'll get if he completes the work, or if since it is a deadline and we meet the deadline, kind of rewards and recognitions that we can get from it. So that was my particularly I answered it in that phase.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. The only thing is nowadays the reward and recognitions are usually the low grade thing. Yeah, you usually don't talk about them. Usually, again, depends upon company culture, but these all things should be around intrinsic motivation. Yeah, rather than extrinsic motivation, which says you will get a recognition and people will like you, or we will give you a certificate of best contributor, or maybe we give you some incentive or money if you contribute here. So in general, you should stay away from that in general, because the basic focus is, first, you may not have authority to do that. That can be another loop. And that also creates a multiplying effect, yeah, multiplying issues. So you usually focus on intrinsic, which focus on motivating and clarifying why it is important, what customer wants out of it, and bringing the engagement. What do you think we can do? If you can't stay today, no problem. What do you think the way you want to solve it? Bring a flexibility, talk to the team, involve team, how we as a group can solve it. Not necessarily I have to make the decision. That's a good another structure as well. And maybe as a team they decide, yeah, this is an important thing, we will do it, but we will do it from home. Yeah, so we probably will find out, or maybe two people will work here and one person will work from home, and we'll figure it out. So that's something we can find out. Yeah. Great. So, Vinay, you want to say something, or it's okay, old hand? Okay, there is another question. So I'm going in a sequence. So in a third sprint review, one of the key stakeholder attended and confirmed all the development done so far is not in line with the goal objective of the project. What to what to completely redo the whole thing, want to completely redo the whole thing, and he's not willing to give any budget additional to that already given. So how do you deal with the situation? So probably as we discussed about change control, we need to handle as per the change control only. So it all depends upon what is your contract. I can't just say in a time and material contract, it is not about deliverable, it is about timesheet. Yeah. If it's a deliverable based contract, then you need to have a signed off scope. So maybe one person asked, but probably you need to answer it in the similar way that what is our contract? Yeah. Now, if your contract says that you need to take sign off every deliverable, and if the deliverables are not accepted, they can be rejected, then you have to do it. Yeah, then your company has to bear the cost. Someone has to bear. You as a project manager is not going to pay the salary of the developer. Someone will pay. So who can pay? Either client is paying to your company and then company is paying to you, or your company has to take a loss and they need to pay. That's the only thing. And your company is a sponsor to you. So out of these two, someone has to pay the work. Now, who's at fault? That depends upon the contract. Yeah. Ideally, at the end of the each sprint review, we should have our terms and condition clearly defined that feedback can be given at a sprint review only. After that, if it is coming and redoing the previous work, it will cost X money. If that's something said in the contract, then you will bill accordingly and you will show the whole thing. If the contract is vaguely prepared and it only talks about milestone level reviews, and if something goes wrong, it talks about that we will redo it, then you need to redo it. Yeah. So it depends. Yeah, but that is something probably I can explain, that I can say I will go as per my contractual obligation. I need to study the contractual obligation. I will brief my management about the situation. I will talk about what is our fault as per the contract and what is going into the client. And I work with my sales team to make sure that they navigate through the situation. If they can bill it to the customer, they do it. If they can't, then we take a lesson learned from it, and next time onwards we bring some checks and balances so that we don't repeat this problem again. Yeah. Anyone want to add to this question? Yeah, which was discussed here. Good. Yeah. Great.
Hi, Mansoor.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Mukesh. Yeah.
Yeah, Muktesh.
Mukteshwar. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So the question which we're discussing right now, is it also related with the communication plan you have it? Because in the sprint review, the question came as in the third sprint, you got to know that then the whole thing need to be rebuilt from the scratch. So in the communication plan, you should be having the sprint review as well, and the feedback loop should be there in every sprint where stakeholders, customer can be a part of, should be a part of that, and will be giving a feedback, right? Along with the product owners, they will be collaborating and will be giving the feedback, and we can take up from there as well.
Yes, yes.
Can just be a part of that answer as well.
It could be. The communication management plan is also rooted in your contract. Yeah. If your contract doesn't have that clause, even if you create a communication management plan, still your company need to pay, because it's a communication management plan is your project document. It's not a signed by the client. But in the situation, if you have a signed communication management plan as a part of a contract, then definitely yes. Yeah. So in the contract, you clarify roles and responsibility of both the parties. You talk about which are the checkpoints, the formal checkpoints, not necessarily each and everything. The only things which are more related to your customer or a client, those are the things which are coming into contract level communication management plan. You may have detailed communication planning or protocols for your team later on, but you need to have something which is part of the contract. And that should have a clarity that how do you take approvals, how do you move forward, and what do you do when you default from it. And this has happened right now. We need to identify, is it our fault or their fault? And how do we stop repeating this mistake going forward? Yeah. So that's something we do.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so we have a question. How do you differentiate between project manager role and scrum master role? When and why you think project manager is required? Whenever you need a project, you need a project manager. When you don't have a project, you don't need a project manager. Simple. Yeah. Scrum does not define project, so you don't need a project manager. If you are following pure Scrum and you have a product team and they are working for your own company in your client space, and you have to dedicatedly keep working and keep prioritizing the backlog, product owner, scrum master, and development team is more than enough. You don't need anyone. But if you have a contract done, you have a contract which is for a project. What is project? It's a temporary endeavor. And whenever the project comes, the money exchange comes. You need to make sure I do something and I get money out of it. I need to make sure the profitability remains tracked for my area of work, not for the whole product. So that responsibility someone has to take. Now you may, in your company, you may call that person Scrum Master / project manager, no problem. Yeah, that's a perfect thing. Or you may want to call him a project manager alone. Yeah, that's a possibility. Now, usually if you have a small projects, which are temporary, time bound and all, the company will expect the project management and Scrum Master role can be played by one person because it's a small project, 10 people project, something like that. If your project has 50 plus people, you have a multiple Scrum team or maybe a Scrum, other non-Scrum teams as well, integration, deployment and other stuffs, then you know that you need 2 levels of leader. You ignore Scrum Master, you can say you need a team leader and you need a project manager. Now, same question when I teach PMP, I remind people, I says, guys, can we say in a project you can have a team leader or you cannot have a team leader? Or can you say, if you can say, it depends. Sometime I have a team leader and sometime I am a project manager on top of a team leader. So when you have a team leader take care of team's job and project manager focuses on beyond team's job. When you don't have a team leader, project manager takes care of a team leadership as well as a beyond team leadership, and depending upon the complexity. Now you can replace the word team leader from a scrum master. You can say I have a scrum team which has a scrum master as a leader. If I have to have both roles, then situation has to be more complex. And there are things which project manager has to take. There are things which scrum master has to take. But if you have a small team, probably both roles can be taken by one guy. This is something how we treat our project manager role for interview purpose as well as for PMP exam, because I might be playing both, I might be playing one. It all depends upon the situation. If you are working in a service organization who does work for others, they need project management. They need project management because they work in projects. Now that project management is done by Scrum Master or done by XX team leader, that depends. Or you call that guy project manager, that depends. But if I'm working under contract, I need to do a project management. Yeah, activity of project managements are unavoidable. Anyone want to add or have a follow-up query on this?
Saket,
So basically, from there,
can I go ahead?
Go ahead, Vinay. Go ahead, yeah, please.
Saket, if there are product companies who are like product companies who are working on their own product, and there also I have seen project managers. So how, if that question comes in that context, how
They
will I
have their
answer?
own boundaries. They don't need it. Yeah, actually, they don't need it, but we need to understand what is the roles and responsibility of it. Yeah. So say if I am maintaining a website, say sellingcakesonline.com, yeah, that's my website, and I have a 20 people working on cakesonline.com. Yeah. So these 20 people will keep working till the time cakesonline.com is there. That's a possibility, a one style of designing of a product company. Another style of designing product company could be I have cakesonline.com, I have a pizzaonline.com, and I have something xonline.com also. I have a 3 website, 3 products running in. And I have a 20 people team. Sometimes they work on a cakesonline.com, sometimes they work on xx.com, sometimes they work on third.com. And I need to go to the boss to take an approval for using this team. And they come for a while and they disappear. In that case, this product company is working in a project mode in that case. So some amount of project management will be needed, but they may have a role called project manager or the scrum master takes care of it. That depends. But there is no invoicing, there is no funding and other efforts, but there is a temporariness. So say, oh, for 6 months, we are working on cakesonline.com. After that, it's on maintenance. Now our team is working on xx.com. Now our team is working on yy.com. But the movement is relatively easy and administrative overheads are less. So in such kind of companies, some because of the nature, they may put a project manager role, others may not.
Thank you, Saket.
Perfect. Anyone else was speaking, I guess, when we were going there? Okay. Yeah. So we move forward. Yeah, I hope this project manager scrum master is straightforward. I move forward because we have been discussing it sometime before. hopefully, Peace, your one is answered. So how do you manage conflict of interest between the different stakeholders? Uh, and how do you explain the delivery manager role and what is the difference from project manager? So this is depends. Yeah, I don't necessarily see, but I can say the delivery manager role usually in the organization is permanent role. It is not like I am moving from one project to another project. Yeah, I just need to take care of various delivery. In a product company, it might be that I have a team and they keep giving me different works and I need to manage delivery. That could be execution oriented role, or it could be the delivery manager has multiple project managers who are working with that person. Yeah. So usually it's a delivery manager is taking care of a delivery team which might be working on various initiative over a period of time, but may not be focusing on a particular client delivery. The particular client delivery either done by the team or done by the leader of the team, which could be a project manager. Yeah, that's what I can sense here. Anyone want to add here? Yeah, delivery manager versus project manager.
Yeah, Suresh here. I
Please.
can add a little bit to
Yeah,
your
please.
context. Yeah. So basically, for product or any financial, these kind of stuff, the senior level management is plays more of the delivery. Under them, there can be project managers, PMO, everybody will be there. And PMO will control the project managers separately as an entity, but the project managers indirectly, again, dotted line will be there for the senior management locally also. So in that case, project managers will drive the projects, whatever is there. But at the end of the day, the directors will be the responsible person or senior management, when the directors, when I say, they are responsible for the entire project.
Perfect.
The
Yeah.
individual, not as an individual project. This guy will drive, facilitate everything he will do on the budgeting, but the budgeting control will be on the senior management, where he has project manager also listens to that guy.
Perfect.
So that's where I work. That's one of the situation we
Okay,
had.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
if we extend what Suresh is pointing out, if you are using a language of PMP exam kind of thing, you can say delivery manager usually work as a sponsor. In this particular case, in a Suresh example, if we think about a sponsor role, that role is played
Yeah.
in this.
Right. Basically, application teams are the sponsors in that kind of product organizations. Yeah. Right.
Great,
Thank
great,
you. Yeah.
great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going. Okay. So in an upcoming interview, I have been asked to do a 10 presentation talking about project in the banking sector. I have worked on that, what challenges I faced, how I handled it, and lesson learned. Can you please advise how to go about it? Yeah, I think you probably need to understand the job description the most. Try to use as much you know about that company in that presentation. That should be your first my first advice. Yeah, and first brainstorm with a chat gpt first about creating the outline only. Yeah, so not to directly say that give me something, think about outline first, and looking at a job description, inquire about the company's website, visit their LinkedIn page, see the type of people and type of projects they talk about, do little bit research, and based on that probably oh, you are talking about I have worked on, then you need to talk about your previous experience by doing this research only. Yeah, so okay, now I get it. I repeat your question, I think I misread it. So I have been asked to do a 10 presentation, yeah, means 10 point presentation, I would say, talking about the project I have worked on in a banking sector. And I need to talk about what challenges I faced and how I handled it and what lesson I have learned. Okay. So that's straightforward, which is coming from your experience. Yeah, you need to put it there. Some advice could be that bring the challenges which are not basic challenges. It should not be that, you are facing these kind of challenges. So think about the challenge which should be rooted outside the project management skills. Yeah. So say lack of available resources or change in the regulatory requirement frequently, or organization structure which is counter to say collaboration matrix organization. Those kind of things are relatively easy. If you use a challenges like we find difficult to communicate between two geographical of team, then that will be a little difficult. He says you should have figured it out. Or you may say that my team was not motivated. Then again, they will say you should have figured it out. Why are you talking about that challenge? So talk about the challenges which are not directly putting a question mark on your project management skill. That's the first thing. And then you need to put a story which talks about what you did. You show that, again, don't try to be a hero or like a main problem solver in it. Talk about something which you did. Probably you talk about someone else might have helped you. So you worked with someone, but do give credit to others as well. Don't try to show that everything was done by you. Giving a credit to a team, giving a credit to some senior management in resolving those challenges might be a good idea. You do have a role, but don't try to show that I did everything single-handedly. If you do that, people will think that you are probably faking it. And then lesson learned, yeah, definitely you talk about that what kind of working agreement, what kind of escalation processes, what kind of things you probably did in order to take care of it. Yeah. So as I give some hints, look for outside like compliance, infrastructure, vendor, organization structure, those kind of stuff which are safe to discuss. Yeah. Anyone want to give an advice to Peace about this?
Yeah, I can add one
Please,
thing
please,
here
Suresh.
because with the recent interviews, how they are happening in the FANG companies, kind of, right? So they are expecting more of I than we. Previously, if you go back to 5 years or 6 years back, it is a collaboration. But these days, more they're expecting, interviewers are expecting more of what you did individually. That means the interview person. So maybe in that sense, we need to explain the challenge and as well as the how you resolved it and how you explain to the management how the management agreed for you.
Perfect. Yeah.
So that's more collaboration which I am seeing in this in the recent FANG companies. So it all depends on the, as you said.
Justify
Yeah.
what your experience is. I would say that I do talk about, rather than I say we, which shows that I probably was just a part of it and not
Yes.
solving
Yeah.
it. That will be a little negative. So I
Yeah.
definitely talk about what I did
Yes.
and little bit dilute that I by not saying that I single-handedly resolved it. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Right.
you
Right.
also talk about that, how in your initiative, the sponsor became active and they approved the budget and they collaborated to solve the problem. Yeah. So you can
Yeah.
say, I managed the whole thing, but sponsor were really helpful at the end to manage the budget like that. Or probably when I highlighted the dependency issue with the vendor, and after doing multiple round of conversation and showing the contractual obligation, then they started collaborating, and because of their collaboration, we solved the problem. Yeah, so something like that. So
Yeah.
it shows that little practical, not single-handedly
Y-
solving. But at the same
Yeah.
time, don't just talk about team did everything, because that may say, what will I do with this guy then? Yeah.
Yeah, because the question goes with one more loop. It will go in a looping question when
Yeah.
you say we did it everything or I did it everything, kind of, because they ask more about from the other side of management. How do you convince your senior management when you
That's right.
resolved it? So that's something which I observed in the recent interviews
Perfect.
patterns. Yeah.
That's a very, very nice sharing. So if I just extend what Suresh is saying, as a project manager, you believe that you are part of the system. Yeah, you are not alone. So things depends. You have a boss, you have someone who controls the money, you have someone who controls the people policy, you have someone who controls various things. Yeah. So there are people, there are characters, there are systems. Yes, there are subcomponents of it. At the same time, you are also a system. You are also not helpless guy. So two things: you are not helpless, but at the same time, you are not alone problem solver. Yeah. So I need to show how I worked with the system in place, and we got it done by making system collaborate and solve the problem. Yeah, that's a kind of a mindset help you in finding, and thankfully Suresh made that point pretty clear. Yeah, good. Yeah, so we move few more. I see some ideas are coming in. I was asked at the end of the interview, if I do not select you, what will you do? What will be your reaction? I don't know. What should someone answer? Maybe someone wanna talk about what should be the answer? Again, actually, these all questions are just testing
Uh,
you
Hello, Saket. I
on
can
the
answer this
skill. Go
question.
ahead, Ramu. Yeah, please.
So, because I have already attended some of the interviews where the interviewers have directly told that you have not been selected. So the answer I have given is, yeah, it might be your opinion, but I just want to know what is the feedback about me, where are the improvements I need to look into, so that if in case I attend the interviews again in your company or any other company, it would be very beneficial for me.
Perfect. Yeah. So asking for a feedback is good idea. You should ask for the feedback for selecting or not selecting, both the cases. That's something you can do. And yeah, that's a good thing. And people are just looking for how do you probably respond to these kind of things, or emotional stability, I would say. So these kind of questions are basically asking you about that. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thank you. How Another question, how do you keep the team motivated and work towards the common project goal in crunching situation where team had to work more than 12 hours a day? So that's a previous question. Yeah. So yeah. And when I was saying, I asked, how do you keep the team motivated and work this thing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's the thing. Okay, so probably we probably take it here. Yeah, we have another 5-10 minutes. So I think this is something, Abhishek, we have been discussing overall. See, first thing is crisis can come, but if everybody appreciate the crisis, they will respond to it. But if you are the only one who see the crisis, people will be stressed and they will not support you. They may be bound to support you for a while as a compliance because they are afraid of something, but they are not willingly supporting you and they will find their options. That's the idea. So one can say that I believe in this philosophy that I can't exploit people. This is a democratic word, so you can't exploit people. That's for sure. You can't make people work hard and beyond the possible reasonable working hour for long till the time they want to do it. Yeah, you can't do it unilaterally, but they can do it. Yeah. Someone can't make you work 72 hours, but you can work yourself 72 hours. That can happen. So I need to focus on that. Yes, do we understand? Are we part of the same game? Am I understanding this is the really need? And whole idea is it's a collaborative working. We all are chasing a particular problem. It could be a business problem, it could be a technical problem. So everyone has to do their contribution, but we need to have an open communication about it. Yeah, what is flexible, what is not flexible? Can you work from home? Can you work at a different time than initially expected? Rather than I want people to reach 8 and then I won't leave them by 8, that all probably will just create an unnecessary stress. So I think this all can be given with the help of example, how possibly you have done in your past projects where people have spent significantly more time, more energy to get the project delivered, and they really feel pride of it because they really liked what they did. Yeah. So if you can bring that, then it could be a nice thing. But again, it depends upon how person are asking it. But I think that is what I will take it. Yeah. Okay, so I think we can take the final question. Yeah, and probably rest of it we discuss in our WhatsApp group. Yeah, maybe. Go ahead, Vinay. You have posted many, so you just pick up the one. Yeah, and out of many, and then we discuss.
I
Yes.
would like to add on that particular question, 12-hour working. Actually, I have faced some same kind of situation where one team was working more than 12 hours in a day. And the main impact was like there's one team who's working 12 hours and there's multiple other teams who are working only 9 hours as per the office hours. So the demotivation, the company culture and everything was kind of destroyed for those person, and kind of environment like hostile environment for those peoples only. And the end result was like the team was dissatisfied and they was not able to deliver at all.
Yeah, yeah. So that kind of experience can be shared. And I'm sure many of us have been through those kind of projects. It's not like you have not been through it. Sometimes you also have a disaster story. Sometimes you have a success stories also. And we just need to articulate it right. And I think these kind of questions can be very often nowadays because industry is also going through a stress. I'm not saying that it is right or wrong. So we need to explain how possibly we take care of. So say crisis can come, but crisis has to resolve also. But if you always remain in crisis, then there is a systematic problem in the organization or people will not stay for long. Yeah. So I need to really make sure that people appreciate the crisis, and we should have some breathing out of the crisis soon, and then we all are together. Yeah.
Yeah. So my first question was like there was some sprint going on, and we got some bug from the previous sprint task we done, and how you will deal with it, like you will give the story point or not, or and how you will deal if the position like you are getting bug from the current task you are doing, so you will give story point to that as well or
So
not.
actually, this is little tricky, and we need to talk about what is our practice and why. Whatever practice you follow, you need to justify with why. That's the important part. Now, should we give a story point for defect? In some companies we do it, in some companies we don't. Now, why we do a story point to defect? Because we want to quantify how much defect backlog is getting added. So say I deliver a 20 story points in a sprint, but we have added 10 story points defect. Then I will say net we only did a work of 10 story points because we did 20 and then we got removed by 10. So that's the utility, and we really want to understand how much work is pending. That's the one case. Another organization may not want to give it. Probably they want to keep some capacity reserved for defect fixing. They will say, guys, anyway, in our velocity, we are not keeping, we are having 10% of our time, which we don't plan for our stories. It is only as a capacity allocation we give for defect fixing. And any defect which is coming should be fitting in that particular allocated capacity. So the second option is usually followed by those organizations where defects are not coming too many and their technical practices are good. So they don't estimate these defects. They have a stringent definition of done, which makes sure the sprint level defects are taken care within the sprint, else we don't mark the story done. So they have a stringent definition of done. But after something got marked done and some observations are coming, some issues are coming, if they remain at a level, then they just have some allocated capacity for it. Yeah. So I think we need to give with the example here and talk about your practice. Both way, it is getting quantified. If I am keeping capacity allocation, automatically my new product work velocity is adjusted. I'm not taking too much work and I am doing it differently. If I have a allocated capacity, I may maintain a separate Kanban view for the defects, where I also maintain aging and other matrices for the defect, so that we know that things are not getting missed out. Yeah.
Yeah, I also given kind of similar answer, but there was like uh, more in kind of a velocity thing. They was saying that okay, if we go and give the story points to that particular bug, then how you will justify the previous work you have done? Your team have done the velocity
As per
previously.
DOD.
Yeah,
As per
and
definition of term. Yeah.
yeah. So I said I won't be making it more overcomplicated. I will, if we are getting something new for the current sprint, that is the new, right? And if we are getting something, then we will give the estimation, because that is the kind of work effort is going to be given by the current sprint as well. And
In case if I'm answering this in an interview, and if the person answers me like that, I will say it might be a practice which you may have a merit about it, but in our team, we made sure that we handle it by having agreement on DOD. I don't say it's wrong and right. I don't say, I have done, it's the new work, So don't try to justify. So if someone says we do it differently and your practice is not good, you can say, okay, you have your practice, but this is how we have been doing it, and this is the reason about it. And if someone is talking about a practice which is not as per your practice, then try to see that, okay, you might be doing it for this reason. Try to see some positive reason for their practice. Don't go for yes and no, good and bad. You can say, okay, you have a practice where you have been not estimating it. Then how do you quantify the amount of work which is getting added? Because actual velocity for a given iteration is not the same. You have a minus story points also getting added. So how we have been using this mechanism. So how do you quantify the time needed for the future work, so that it should not happen the team keep delaying fixing the defects because they don't get a story point for it, and at the end we end up running few sprints for defects fixing only. You can say, yeah, that happened in one of my project, and that's why we started this practice, because we had a situation where nobody was fixing the defect because it was not giving us story points. Yeah, so we end up accumulating a lot of them, and then it becomes a nightmare.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but don't say no to any practice whenever you are dealing in the interviews, because all practices could be practice. Yeah, we don't know if it's good or bad. Good. So I know lots of new ideas coming in. Please join our WhatsApp group and we'll probably have a more futuristic conversation there. And the recording of today's session will also be available. So please don't add new questions now. I can probably quickly see if we have a thing. So what is the role of a project manager in finance or budget management? Depends. You can't say very clearly, but in general, by default, project managers are expected to manage profitability of the project. Yeah, they are expected, especially the type of organization. Most of the organization will ask them to manage the profitability of the project. That is something expected. So they should know how our company makes money and what is our profit margin in a current project and what should I do so that my company makes money out of it. That much is expectation. Now, if you are doing a fixed price project, then it may go into further budgeting and variance analysis and all. If you are doing time and material project, then it could be focusing on timesheet management, deliverable management, and sign-off management. Both of them will lead to managing profitability, but you may manage profitability in a different manner. Yeah. So that much is usually expected from the project manager.
One more thing I would like to add is here. Is it now reality that in the companies the one person is working as a developer, as a QA, as when it comes to delivery, he is able to do the delivery part as well. So
Not yet a reality, but maybe organization wants to make it a reality. Yeah, but as of now, it is not yet. Yeah, not yet.
is it something which is Scrum foster about it?
Not forced, but it is appreciated. You can call it full stack developer. It is something cross skilling, multi skilling. So the whole idea is, as an agile way of working, we want to reduce handover, takeover from one person to another person. We want to make sure the less and less movement of hands happen, the faster work get done. So if the work comes to the one person and one person can do all the work and deliver it to the end customer, it's a good thing. Nothing wrong about it. It's a good thing. If possible, if your company can do it, so you have a full stack guy who can do everything, whatever is needed for the end customer. Now, as of now, since these skills are little unique and not necessarily everyone is skilled in all the areas and some amount of specialization takes in, so maybe you cannot do for all the steps. You probably will be able to merge. If you are taking 3 or 4 steps to do a development, maybe you cannot get a one person doing all the 4 steps, but probably you get a person to do at least 2 steps or 3 steps. The more steps you can get from one developer, the better it is in general. But again, it depends upon the type of people organizations are hiring.
Then why
Okay.
will team them?
No,
Because
the
one
team
person,
of
one
cross-skilled people.
RP kind of
No,
thing will be there.
idea is team of cross-skilled people. So say if you take a 3 user story, 3 team members work on it, probably they don't have to give a work to each other and wait for each other. Probably they can do work and deliver to the end customer without going to someone else. Yeah, if possible, then it will reduce the handover takeover and it helps you to get the things faster if possible. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay.
We can't assume that the need of communication and coordination will be zero. Yeah, we can't say that. But as Suresh was pointing out, that nowadays the individual role and contribution also plays a role. Organizations are working in a hybrid and virtual environment. The cost of working with communication and handover takeover is increasing. When people work face to face, the effort for this coordination was relatively less, but now the coordination effort is more and more expensive. So the less we can do, the better it is. Yeah. Okay. So Ambu's question, I don't know, mathematical formula for productivity and utilization. Yeah, we don't know. We need to understand what they were trying. I know you already posted on the WhatsApp group. Hopefully someone will answer it. As of now, I don't have it. So I keep it open. Probably we'll talk about it if we discover some theory about it in the next session. Yeah. Great. So link for WhatsApp group, I have shared it already. We also have a web group in case someone is not comfortable with the WhatsApp. Web group also contains the, once you join in, you have a link of our previous recording and some conversations. Though the web group is not yet that much active, people are not discussing many things there, but it's there. Yeah. So I'm just putting it. I'm just putting it here in the chat. Yeah. So in case you are more comfortable with the web group, you can use that. Yeah. Great. So thank you everyone for your participation. See you again in the next session. Bye everyone.
Thank you, Saket.
Bye everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.